Hey, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've been getting a lot of questions on Instagram and on YouTube about just general things. So we're just going to do a tea and Q&A. I was thinking about doing a rosé and Q&A, but it's the middle of the week. I didn't think wine would be that appropriate for a Tuesday afternoon. So we're going to do peppermint tea and Q&A instead. So if you guys have any other ideas, maybe coffee and Q&A, any other naming ideas, I'd love to hear your suggestions. Maybe bubble tea and Q&A or something like that. All right, anyway, so I'm just gonna take a bunch of these questions that you guys have had and answer them the best I can. All right, so this is gonna be really casual. I just wrote down all your guys' questions in a notebook because I'm filming on my phone, so obviously I couldn't use that to just have them nice and handy for myself. So yeah, I've got your questions here and I'm gonna go through them and try and be as honest as possible, and it's just gonna be casual, just me giving you guys my answers to your questions. All right, so the first one is, how exactly do you make money on YouTube? This is a very frequently asked question. Whenever I say I have a YouTube channel, it's like, first of all, people just kind of look at me like I'm crazy. And then second, they ask me if I make any money and how on earth YouTubers actually make money. So the first one, the most common one that people think of is AdSense. So when you see ads at the beginning of videos, that is put there by an advertiser. They pay YouTube, and then YouTube gives the creator, me or the YouTuber, a cut of the ad revenue that is going to your channel. All right, so that is AdSense. That's like the way that most people think of to make money. The downside with that is that you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours annual on your channel to get started with that. So that's that's a long time before you can get monetizing. So generally speaking, you can try different ways to get monetized quicker than that. With the other ways I'm just going to mention here. A lot of YouTubers disclose their annual income from AdSense, so you can find out how much they make, but it's not a ton of money when you look at the other ways you can be monetizing your channel. And so this is just like one small piece of the puzzle, let's be honest. And I know one comment I got was like, oh, you only made $2,400 last year. Why don't I just go ask my work for some overtime hours? Which is totally fair. Like, it's not that much when you think about it, but I made $2,400 and I only put out 4 videos last year, and like really one of them was like me drinking wine with my friend on the beach. So I wouldn't really call that work, quite honestly. The other thing is that they compound over time. So the videos that I made 5 years ago are making me money today. So it's not like I just got paid that year from those videos. I get paid every single year from those videos because people keep watching them because they're still applicable. So just something to think about. So AdSense is number one, generally speaking. Number two is sponsorship. So this is when you see YouTubers talk about a specific company, product, software, something in their video, and it's actually sponsored by the company. And so this is where the company themselves, so let's pretend, so I use a Dyson Airwrap. I have a super fancy hair dryer, which I love. So let's pretend that Dyson decided to sponsor this video. They would pay me to talk about their company or their product in this video. And I would do like a little snippet talking about how amazing the Dyson Airwrap is. And so Dyson, if you're watching, let's talk. And generally we think about pretty big companies for sponsorships, but if you're getting started with like a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like that, I encourage you to go talk to smaller companies, especially ones that you know and love and like you talk about anyway, and see if they're willing to start talking about sponsorship. Even if the answer is no, it might put the bug in their ear for later on when you're a little bit bigger, they might consider it. So the third way that YouTubers generally make money is by being an affiliate to different products. And so the most common affiliate partnership is Amazon. And so let's say I was talking about like a book. I just finished reading this really good book called Show Your Work. And so if I was talking about how awesome that book is, especially for people who are dealing with imposter syndrome with like getting their products out, go get this book. We would say something like, oh, I'll put a link in the description. And we would put a link where if you go and buy something from Amazon, I get a little commission when you buy that. And the nice thing about an affiliate relationship is that the person, the viewer who goes and clicks on the link and goes and buys that thing, they don't actually have to pay anything extra, but the content creator, they get a cut of that sale. And so if you think about tech YouTubers or people who talk about like really expensive products, their affiliate commissions could be much bigger than if I'm just talking about like a $9 book, obviously. And so an example of this is I use the software Podia to host my online courses. So I signed up to be an affiliate for Podia. So if somebody signs up for Podia under my link, I get a commission every time that Podia gets a payment as well. All right, the third way that YouTubers make money is that they sell their own products. So you can see lots of YouTubers have now, like, they have their own swag, or they have their own, let's say, like digital courses like I do, or a really common one is digital products like an ebook or a planner or an online course, something like that. Or they could have their own swag, so like actual mugs or hats or t-shirts or whatever. So just selling your own products in general. So you could have this set up in the description for people to go like directly go buy your product, or you could have them directed over to sign up for your email list where they can go like get to know you a little bit better, and then you could pitch them your product down the road. So for example, like I have a pretty expensive course, so I don't think anyone's just going to go down to the link in my YouTube video and buy my very expensive course. They probably want to get to know me a little bit better before they make that investment. And so they can go get on my email list, and then after getting to know me for, let's say, like 3 or 6 months, they might decide that, hey, Brandy is my perfect teacher and I want to invest in her program and work with her. And the fifth one that I came up with is what I call magic opportunities. And so this is just like things that come up that you would never think of just from getting your name out there. And so one example I have of this is, for years, I was really scared to tell anyone that I had a YouTube channel, which I don't know why, but I was just like embarrassed about it, quite honestly. So until I hit like 15,000 subscribers, I didn't tell anyone I had a YouTube channel. Eventually, when I finally told my nephews, they were like, "What? You have a YouTube channel?" Like, I just didn't tell anyone. And now I just like to embarrass my nephews by it. But so when I finally announced it to the world, I have a YouTube channel. So I posted on my LinkedIn that, hey, my YouTube channel hit 15,000 subscribers. I'm so excited about this. It was just like something me celebrating. And within a week, I actually got asked to write a textbook because my YouTube channel used to be just educational. And so right away, when the publisher saw that, hey, Brandy has a YouTube channel, she likes talking about this stuff, she's not scared of putting out content, right away, they asked me to write a textbook. So I just like to call these magic opportunities. Like, you just don't know what's going to come up when you put your work out there into the world and just start talking about what you know. And so some other examples I've had is I've been hired as a consultant from this channel, and I've had people emailing me asking me to be their tutor as well, just from having this channel. Just keep your mind open to what the possibilities could be when you start putting out your work. Like, it's not just like AdSense revenue. It's like anything could happen when you start putting your work out there. All right, the next one is an online course question. So the question is, how much content do you need to have an online course? And I think this question is hilarious because usually you actually have too much content. It's not like you don't know enough. It's usually like you know too much. And so the funny thing that happens is when you start teaching a course is it changes drastically the first 3 times that you teach it. I think I've talked about this before, but the first time usually you have way too much content in there. And so then the second time you go through it, you strip it way back and then you have too little content. And then you realize you're like, oh, I need to put some back in. And so the third time you kind of settle in the middle at this like perfect spot of like just enough content that you're giving your students enough information to get through and to get results, but you're not giving them so much information that they're getting overwhelmed by it. So I just think that's like, it's such a good question, but such a hilarious one, because if you're asking that question, I think you have enough knowledge to run an online course. Don't worry. And the other thing I'd like to mention in this is that like not every course encompasses every topic, right? There are workshop courses, which is like an hour, or there is a signature course, which is, could be 10 weeks long. And those have very different levels of content in them. And you have to really think about where your student is at. Are they a beginner? Are you taking them all the way from being a beginner to like be a professional? Or are you just taking them from being a beginner to an intermediate? Do they need to know everything you know, Or do they just need to know this little piece to get them started? All right. So it's just reframing how we think about a course, and what the students actually need to know and what they want to know as well. All right, next question. How many subscribers do you need to have to start hosting a course or mastermind? And so I think this person actually asked how many followers you need before you should launch your course. And I know some people say that like you need 250 email subscribers to launch your course, but there is no magic number. And my favorite thing to say is like followers do not equal dollars, all right? They do not. And I've seen this on both ends of the spectrum. So for example, I have about 22,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. And historically, this YouTube channel didn't make me any money because I didn't set it up that way. I just put up videos for my students and I was not concerned with monetizing it at all. So I was just trying to help people, quite honestly, and I still am. And so it wasn't important to me what was bringing in money. But when you're running a business, you're more concerned, or you should be more concerned with the number of dollars coming into your bank account than the number of subscribers or the number of email subscribers or followers that you have on social media. And from a business perspective, I have a business where we did a $20,000 launch and we only had 30 people on our email list. So it's like, okay, well, I have 20,000 YouTube subscribers, but it doesn't make very much money. But then I don't have but in an actual business, we're making money, but we don't have that many social media followers, okay? So when you're thinking about it from a business standpoint, it's the money that the business is bringing in and the impact that you're having that really matters. It's not how many followers you have. That is really a vanity metric. All right, next question. How do you choose between Kajabi, Thinkific, Podia, Teachable, Newsendler, blah, 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 blah? Yeah, okay, so these are all course platforms. And so a lot of times when we are starting our online course creation journey, we like to look at all the course creation platforms. And so the problem is that there are so many freaking options to choose from. And you just get in your head about this and it's like analysis paralysis and you never end up creating your course because you're just like, what am I gonna use? So what I'm gonna suggest is set yourself a deadline. I have to choose by this date. And when that date comes, you make a decision and you stick with that decision for 6 months. Okay, that's what I did. I was like, I'm just gonna use Podia for 6 months and then I can reassess my decision. All right. And the reason I had to do that was because I was spending all of my time stressing out about what course platform to use instead of actually creating my course. And so it was a way of like procrastinating, doing what I actually needed to do. And quite honestly, like I've taken courses in Kajabi, I've taken courses in Podia, I've taken courses in Thinkific, Teachable, I've taken courses in like almost every platform out there because I love to take online courses. From a student perspective, it doesn't matter, all right? From a student perspective, it had no impact on my learning whatsoever, all right? So if you're really worried about helping your students and impacting lives and impacting your students and helping them learn and all that kind of great stuff that you want to do when you're building your course, you need to build your course. You don't need to spend all your time worrying about what course platform to use because from a student perspective, it really doesn't matter, quite honestly. And if it's easier for you guys, I use Podia. I highly recommend them. I love them for new course creators because they're so cheap. You can take payment through them and you can set up your course really quickly in that. Done. All right, go use Podia for 6 months and then reassess your decision and see if you want to change at that point. But go create your course. All right, I'm just turning on my light here because it's getting a little bit dark outside. I'm gonna have to stop filming soon. I'm batching videos today. Okay. All right, so the next question is, how do you take 2 months of vacation a year? And so sometimes I do talk about this on my social media, how we usually take like 1 to 2 months of vacation a year. And so I'm not sure if you mean from like a practical standpoint or like how did I set up my life like this or what. So I'm just gonna talk about it in general. And then if you guys have more questions, please ask and I can kind of go back into more detail about this. So when my son was born, when he was about a year old, it was my first year working at a college. And so the college I work at is awesome. We get 2 months vacation a year, but we need to take it kind of condensed in like the same period because I get a semester off. So most instructors, if you think about like a typical school year, they work fall, winter, and then take off the summer. I actually work in the summer because summer in Vancouver is really nice, so I like to be here in the summer. So I work summer, fall, and then take off the winter, which I hate the winter in Vancouver, so then we go somewhere tropical for a couple months to catch the sun. So in my first year teaching, like when I had this awesome, like I'm gonna have 2 months of vacation, my husband was actually a corporate finance lawyer at the time. And so we weren't sure how we were gonna do this because he worked a lot, as I used to as well, working in an accounting firm. So he actually decided to quit his job so we could go traveling for 2 months. And that was the first time we ever did that. My son was 1 year old and we took my son to Thailand for 2 months, and it was just like the best. We were not going back to the way we used to live, where we would like just like work all the time. And so we set up our lives in a way that my husband works part-time, I teach, and teaching is amazing. It has a really good work-life balance to it. I get to have so many benefits. I get to work with students. I have no regrets about this decision in my life. And the plus is that we get 2 months of vacation. So needless to say, generally speaking, when it is not the pandemic, we usually spend 2 months somewhere tropical in the winter, and it is lovely. So from a money standpoint, a few things that we like to do, we just go to one place, generally speaking, so we just have to pay for flights to and from one place. So that doesn't really cost anything extra than if you were going for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then we look for a condo. We usually stay in like an Airbnb that's by the beach, so we don't have to rent a car if we don't need to. And also, if you're renting a condo for like a month or 2 months, usually you can get a really good discount on it because people don't have to like continually have new people coming in to their Airbnb. So usually speaking, if you rent it for like a month or 2, you can get like a 40 or 50% discount on the condo rental if you're renting it for that long. So that's my tip. Go look for the condos that are available that have a really good discount if you're going for a long period of time, or ask for a discount. And when I say we look for accommodations, I mean my husband looks for accommodations because he's much pickier with where we stay than I am. I'm like, do we have a beach? Done. I don't care where I'm staying, quite honestly. And so the things that we look for when we go on vacation, number one is we look for somewhere close to the water. We have 2 inflatable paddle boards, which we bring with us on vacation. So being close to the water is really easy for us because then we don't have to rent a car, keeps our costs down. Ideally, we like them to speak some English. And this is because we do have a young son. And so I'm just conscious if there's ever an emergency, I want to be able to communicate with the people and not get completely stuck somewhere. The third is I always look for somewhere with a hospital. Again, I have a young son, so I am a little bit particular that like I want somewhere that, you know, if something were to happen, I can bring him to the hospital and we can get everything taken care of really well. But other than that, we're pretty open. We just go somewhere where we can be close to the water, swim every day, and they speak a little bit of English. So that's about it. As you guys can see, the sun is going down, so I'm starting to get really weird like shadows in my house. So we're just gonna go with this, see how far we can go. All right, so the next question is, how do I get started on YouTube? Do I need to buy any fancy equipment or anything? All right, so if you're getting started with anything, creating a course, doing YouTube, doing a podcast, blog, anything, I just recommend as much as possible, use what you have to get started. And I'm just very conscious that like you might hate it, right? Like you can try something out and see if you like it before you go and invest in that thing. And so just if you want to start a YouTube channel, just start making videos, all right? When I first started my YouTube channel, I am like such an accidental YouTuber. I just posted videos because I couldn't figure out the course platform at my school to post videos, and I had an 8-month-old, and so I just couldn't even be bothered. But I had the crappiest microphone ever, and nobody still seems to mind. They still watch my videos today, and honestly, they don't mind. So just use what you have. If you have a smartphone, just start making videos on that. If you don't want to show your face on your channel, which you do not have to, you can do a screen recording video or something like that, and just use your camera. I bet and just use a camera on your computer. And right now, everyone seems to have mics, or like you can get a $20 lapel mic. That's what I use. Right now, I'm just using the microphone on my phone because I forgot it at work. But just use what you have to get started and then upgrade as you go. Okay, so don't start fancy. And how do you get started, and like what do you talk about? Talk about something that interests you, and your interest can change over time. That is okay. But just start like playing with keywords, playing with thumbnails, playing with making videos. And I think we just get in our head when we see people are like, pick a niche and do all these things and like get your fancy equipment and make sure you know how to use like Adobe Pro so you can edit your videos perfectly. Like, no, just like use what you have. You do probably need some video editing skills, so that's something you can learn. But just use what you have, get started, start filming, and start posting. All right, this is gonna be the last question because we're really losing the sun here. So last question. Why didn't you post videos for 5 years? Well, that is an excellent question. So my YouTube channel was very unintentional, obviously, because I didn't post videos for like 5 years. So I made my YouTube channel. It was an educational YouTube channel for my students. I teach college, as you guys know. And so I just posted tutorials on what I was teaching each week for a semester. So basically for 3 months, I posted a whole bunch of videos, and my son was like 8 or 9 months at the time. That was probably a terrible idea because it was just like so stressful. Like I wasn't sleeping properly, obviously, because I had a baby. And then I was trying to like learn how to film videos, and I didn't show my face in any of those videos, but I was trying to learn like video editing and all this stuff. And then how I actually got posted on YouTube is when I posted it on my course website for the school, it looked terrible. So I decided, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put these on YouTube for my students and just like give them the links. And then they started sharing my videos with the other classes in our college. And then it just went from there. And I didn't actually look at my YouTube channel. I kind of forgot that I had it for about a year. And when my husband finally looked at it one day, he was like, Brandy, you've got a bunch of subscribers. I think you should monetize this. And so then I was able to click the monetize button, and that's how I get paid from YouTube now. So why this matters, if you're like, Brandy, why does this matter? Is because I never intended to be a YouTuber, and that's why I didn't post for such a long time. And so when my son was young, I made the commitment that I was like, I'm not going to start any new projects, or I'm going to try to scale back as many projects as I can until he goes to kindergarten. I just wanted to spend as much time as I could with him while he was still really young and before he went to school, because I knew those moments were going to be so precious later on. And now he's in kindergarten. And of course I was teaching in the fall, so I didn't have time to do videos and everything else. And quite honestly, 2020 was just like, I couldn't handle anything else. But now I'm able to make some videos because I'm off work for 2 months. We're not on vacation because it's the middle of the pandemic and my son's in kindergarten, so I have a little bit of time. So that is why I didn't post videos for 5 years. And so now I'm gonna try and be more consistent with it and posting once a week at least. And I do find the process enjoyable. I love teaching. I love the idea of connectivism, of everybody learning from each other online and helping each other out. So I really like the idea of YouTube. It's just I didn't have the time or mental capacity to be online during that time period of my life. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. I don't know, these are just questions that I get a lot in my Instagram. So hopefully they answered some questions. If you have more questions, please just put them in the comments and I will try and do another video very shortly on this. Bye.